Let's talk about Seattle. You mentioned them a minute ago. They're very much in the TBD category, and it was an ugly start for this team. I think we were all looking at the Kraken being like, they took a nice step forward last year, but a lot of guys had career years, shooting the lights out in terms of shooting percentage. They didn't have great goaltending, but like collectively as a group, they were able to get the job done and make it into the second round of the playoffs. Knocking out Colorado in the first round, most notably. But, man, Seattle has turned their season right around. They're right in it in this division in terms of the playoff race. 8-2 in their last 10. Oliver Bjorkstrand, heard Ron Francis, the GM of the Kraken, say that he's a guy that doesn't get enough love when it comes to Seattle. We focus on guys like Vince Dunn and Matty Beniers, and the list goes on. And then, man, again, another goaltender that the Ottawa Senators lose out of the organization, Joey Daccord. And he has been arguably the biggest reason why they have completely turned their season around. He has been absolutely fantastic. And I got to see Seattle last week, I believe it was, against my Sabres, and for probably 13 straight minutes. I mean, we just dominated. Like, we were all over them, and he was fantastic. So the Kraken, we had them in the 5 spot, and they're currently in 6th, but again, right there.
We had the Kraken in the 4th.
Oh, in the 4th spot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and they're currently tied for 5th with Calgary. So they're slotted into the 6th spot because they have 2 fewer regulation wins. But they're only 2 points back of Edmonton, 3 points back of LA. Granted, both the Flames and the Kraken have played more games. They've both played 44 games to LA's 41 and Edmonton's 40. But with all that being said, going into this season, we didn't think goaltending was going to be a strength. So it's kind of nice for them that Joey Daccord has been such a good story. And you're right. Like, I listened back to our preseason rankings on the Pacific Division, and that was one of the things we said, that we're expecting regression from this team because they had so many players last year who just scored above what they were expected to score. And this year, like, they are a -6 in goal differential, so they are still giving up more than they're scoring. So maybe that regression has come a little bit, but I think that this team is, it's kind of fitting where they are right now, that they're a bubble playoff team, because they could turn it around a little bit and make it, like they've been doing, 8-2-0 in their last 10, like you mentioned, or maybe they just are content to miss and get a bit of a higher pick. I guess we'll see down the stretch. It's another interesting team, but when I look at the Pacific Division, I think going into this season, it was very 7 and 8. We were bang on with Anaheim and San Jose, and but then everything above that, we weren't really sure.
No,
I think this year has given us a bit more clarity on who some of these teams really are. Like Calgary and Seattle, especially. I think these two teams are just kind of bubble playoff teams, and they're a move or two away from being impactful. And I think for Seattle, this season we were expecting Shane Wright to be a mainstay, and there would be more of like a young, eventful presence in the lineup with him there. But that didn't happen, and maybe it's for the best. I guess we'll just have to see next year. But yeah, for me, Seattle and Calgary are in the same position. But I think as it stands, Seattle has a better future in terms of prospects. They had so many guys at the World Juniors who were just great. And Calgary, doesn't really have that. So I guess that might tell you what direction they're going to go in. But then again, you never really know, because there are so many teams who just kind of hang on, right? Like Philadelphia, even this year has, they weren't expected to be good, but they are, and teams like Nashville and St. Louis, like kind of just middle of the pack, hanging up. Minnesota's another team, like so they both teams have a shot. I'll say that, but I'm not surprised where either of them are in the standings right now, given where we projected them to be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. Seattle and Calgary especially are kind of in that, playoff bubble team category for sure.